Session 10, Rewriting What the Heart Has Written. Welcome to Session 10. I am Rich Abbott, and this is the Steward's Mind, the final session of Week 2. We have covered significant ground this week. We established what the Lev is, the inner command center from which everything in your life flows. We traced the 4 channels that set your financial thermostat before you had any say in it. We identified the specific beliefs that are still running, and we learned what it means to stand at the gate and to take captive every thought. Now we come to the question that everything else has been building toward. Can what the heart has written be rewritten? The answer is yes. But the how matters enormously. And I want to be honest with you about what this process actually looks like, because there is a version of this that is taught in the self-help world that is, in my experience, inadequate. And there is a version that is taught in Scripture that actually works. Part 1. Why willpower is not enough. The most common approach to changing a limiting belief is willpower. You identify the belief, you decide it is wrong, and you try harder. You repeat affirmations, you push through the resistance, you override the thermostat by force if you have to. And for a while, sometimes a long while, that works. The sheer energy of determination can produce short-term results that look like transformation. But willpower is a depletable resource. When it runs low, and it always runs low because life is long and resistance is persistent, the old setting reasserts itself. The thermostat wins. The pattern returns. That is why so many people cycle through the same financial behaviors year after year. Not because they're lazy, not because they're faithless, but because they're trying to override the Lev with willpower, and the Lev has been running its program for decades. Willpower manages symptoms. Renewal goes to the source. Part 2. What renewal actually is. Romans 12, verse 2. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. The word transformed is metamorpho in the Greek. Metamorphosis. Not a surface change, not an adjustment, a structural change that produces a different kind of creature from the same source material. The word renewing is anakinosis, a making new, a renovation. Not destruction of what was there, but replacement of what was damaged or false with something true and whole. And notice, the Apostle Paul does not say transform yourself. He says be transformed. The passive voice is significant. Renewal is something that happens to you and in you through a process of sustained exposure to truth. You do not white-knuckle your way to a renewed mind. You immerse yourself in truth consistently over time until the truth begins to displace the lie at the level of the Lev. This is not passive either. You're not simply waiting. You're actively choosing what you immerse yourself in. You are cooperating with the process. You are showing up for it every single day. But the renewal itself is the work of God in you through truth, through His Word, through the community of people who are walking the same road. Part 3. The 3 practices of rewriting. Let me give you 3 specific practices that support genuine renewal at the level of the lev. Practice 1 is declaration. Every session in the steward's mind closes with a declaration. This is not accidental and is not merely motivational. A declaration spoken aloud, especially one that's grounded in the scriptures, is an act of replacing the voice of the lev with a different voice. The old belief was installed partly through words you heard repeatedly from voices you trusted. A declaration spoken in your own voice, from your own mouth, repeatedly and deliberately, begins to install a new voice, your own, but this time rooted in truth. This takes time. Repetition is the mechanism. The old belief took years of repetition to install. The new truth takes consistent repetition to displace it. Do not expect one declaration session to rewire decades of input. But do not underestimate the cumulative effect of months of daily declaration either. Practice 2. Evidence collection. Your lev pays attention to evidence. One of the ways old beliefs maintain their grip is by collecting evidence that confirms them. You lose money in one investment and the belief "I always lose" gets a data point. You experience a financial setback and the belief "money never stays" gets reinforced. Begin collecting counter evidence deliberately. Every time you experience financial increase, however small, name it and record it. Every time generosity produces return, name it. Every time a financial decision aligned with wisdom produces a good result, name it. You are not manufacturing a false narrative. You are correcting an incomplete one. The old lev was only keeping a score in one direction, mostly negative. You are now keeping the full score. Practice 3. Environment curation. You will become financially, attitudinally, behaviorally the average of the voices you listen to most consistently. This is not a metaphor. It is how the lev works. Input shapes belief, belief shapes decision, decision shapes outcome. Who are you listening to? Who are you associating with? What are you reading? What testimony are you exposing your lev to on a regular basis? What are you looking at on social media? Begin deliberately choosing input that is consistent with where you are going rather than where you have been. This is not escapism, not denial of your current reality, but an intentional shift in the dominant voices shaping your lev. Part 4. Your Week 2 Declaration. This is the declaration for Week 2 in its entirety. I want you to read it, and then I want you to say it with me. I acknowledge that my financial life has been shaped by beliefs I did not choose. I have traced those beliefs to their sources, and I have named them without shame. I am not the belief is not me. I choose today to be transformed, not by effort alone, but by the renewal of my mind. I guard my lev. I take every thought captive. I immerse myself in what is true. I am a steward, made in the image of a God who creates, builds, multiplies, and gives. That is who I am. This is what I am building. And that is what runs my financial life from this day forward. Part 5. Looking ahead to Week 3. In Week 3, we move from the heart to the mind. We're going to go deep into Romans 12 verse 2, the mechanics of transformation. We're going to look at what neuroscience now confirms that Scripture has always said about how human minds actually change. And we're going to build the specific daily practices that accelerate renewal at the level of the lev. You have done significant work this week. Congratulate yourself. If you have been doing these reflections, the exercises, the declarations, you have already begun shifting the posture of the gate. That matters more than you may be able to feel right now. Keep going. Here is your closing declaration for today. Say this slowly and intentionally mean every word because it is important. My heart has been written on by channels I did not choose, but I am the steward of my lev going forward. I renew, I guard, I declare. I am becoming someone whose financial life flows from truth, and I am just getting started. This is Rich Abbott. Week 2 is now complete. I will meet you in session 11 for the start of week 3, the mind. Meanwhile, may you consider the free money mindset guide found at richabbott.com guide.